Hello and welcome to the 4th volume of Ask Sean, where I'm taking your questions and doing this fan interaction thing that I love doing so much. Thank you all for watching, and thanks for joining me here on vacation in sunny Sarasota, Florida. As I record this, it's my second last day being here. I want to make a big announcement here before we get into the questions. April 10th, the Friday that the Daredevil show goes live, all 13 episodes are going to be up on Netflix. We're going to do something real special together. I'm going to do the channel's very first live broadcast. That's right, I'm going to do a live show on Google Hangouts that you can tune in to watch. And I've never done anything like this before. Hope that I can work out the technology to be able to take Skype calls and answer your questions while you're watching. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay glued to basically right here, to my Twitter, my Facebook, and to my blog as details start to roll out about that. And if you want to get a question in the next edition of Ask Sean, put it down in the comments below. You don't even got to wait till the video's over. Do it now, because I am standing by right now, waiting with bated breath for your questions to see how awesome the next ask is going to be. Now, without further ado, let's get into your questions and the answers coming at you live from paradise. In the order that they came to me in, our first question comes from Alex M. If you could be any superhero or supervillain, who would it be and why? Well, Spider-Man's my favorite, but I don't want to say him because his story is filled with so much tragedy. I guess if it's a matter of what superhero I'm going to be, I'd probably just say Superman, just out of like practicality, right? You can get anywhere you need to go really fast. You can see anything you might have misplaced anywhere, right? It's just too easy to say Superman, but I'm going to do it and say Superman. Simon Sign-In says, if you could make any superhero movie, what storyline would you base it on? Well, I'll tell you this. I have been saying since even before the current, huge renaissance of superhero movies, that it would be super cool to do a straight up, not even like take elements from it and put it in another movie the way they did with The Dark Knight Rises and the way they seem to be doing with the Batman vs. Superman movie coming up, but to do just a straight up adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns would just be like, would love it. I'm a little late to the game on this, but I'm right now just reading the Night of Owls 2-story thing there. That would be a really great one to see on the screen. Just so many, and I just hope I get to direct some of them. Whoo! KR Films asks, if you were going to direct a superhero movie trilogy, what would it be about? Well, I guess we kind of covered that on the last one. I would do The Dark Knight Returns. I wouldn't want it to be a trilogy because you're just kind of like gouging the audience at that point. Hello, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit. Swagger Minecraft. Oh man, he's been down with the channel for a long time. He says, do you have a PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, or any console? The answer is no, I do not. What games I play are very casual time waster games on my phone, and that's it. I had to make a firm decision a long time ago that I was not going to become a gamer and not get involved in gaming, because this goes back to when I was first making comics and going out and selling them on the street. I had to put all of the spare attention I had into my career and into my art. So making the decision that I'm not gonna own a video game console was a decision I made a long time ago, just because I did not want to risk getting sucked into it and spending too much time on that and wondering, how I ended up not getting to finish a comic book. Aiden Jensen says, would you make a fan film one day, like Deadpool or Spider-Man or any Marvel and DC characters? Well, it's far enough into this video now that anybody who's watching is a true blue, real deal fan of the Sean Ward Show. So if you're watching this far, I guess you're getting an exclusive here. We've got Batman, a very serious take on a concept for Batman meets the X-Men. And I really want to do something that's more in the comedy vein, that's like our version of a Civil War movie. Watch for those coming. Maybe not so soon. The Batman X-Men one probably soon, because we're going to do that in episodes. But the rest, it'll come throughout the year. So make sure you stay subscribed. Skull Spidey, another long-time commenter, says, if I ran into you at Fan Expo this year, would it be okay to ask for a picture and ask about video projects going on? Man, I hope you do. I hope that every convention that I'm going to, somebody from that town gets a little something together so that we can get together, do photos, chat some, have a little meet and greet. That'd be super fun. So yeah, Fan Expo, New York Comic Con, any of those you see me at or you hear I'm going to, make sure you get there. We'll hang out and it'll be a hell of a lot of fun. Nightwing says, do you think that the Batman vs. Superman movie will have a big impact on the Justice League movie? Well, given that the subtitle for that movie is Dawn of Justice, I can only imagine that that's not only likely, but verily the point. Yeah, I do think that the Batman-Superman movie really exists for no other reason than to set up a Justice League movie. Kendall Guerra asked, I understand you talk about Marvel most of the time, but would you post a video of other comic book franchises or anime? Well, anime I'm not so knowledgeable about. I don't know what I could add to a discussion about anime. But other comic book franchises, well, I mean, I talk a lot about, like, Marvel and DC are the main ones, right? I'm a superhero fan first and foremost. So those are the ones that I talk about a lot. But what other superhero franchises would you like me to talk about that I don't touch on? I'd love to know what suggestions you have. If you think that something's missing or if you think I'm overlooking something, put it in the comments. I'd be very excited to know about that. Core X Spider-Man says, do you think Sony and Marvel will have Spider-Man in the Captain America Civil War movie? Well, this comment was posted in the comments of my last Ask Sean video, which was quite a while ago. So this question is like not informed by more recent news items, but of course we all know that Spider-Man is in fact going to be in the Captain America Civil War movie, and I am so, like anybody, right, so excited to see what happens with that, to see what happens with Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to see what Marvel's involvement means for the solo Spider-Man movies, to see who they cast, what the costume looks like, what stories they base it on, how the events of Civil War influence those Spider-Man movies. I'm just, as a fan, I'm getting giggly and, getting giddy about it right now. It's going to be awesome. Endman 327 says, Sean, do you still sell your comics on the street? And if so, where in Toronto could we find you to buy one? No, I do not still sell my comics on the street. In fact, I haven't even made a new comic book in a long time. I was happy that you asked this, and I was happy to include this question in this video because I'm working on a new comic book project, which I guess is easy for me to say, being that I've got 3 half-finished comic book projects on the go in my house right now. But I've got one that's based more autobiography and based on my experiences doing this YouTube channel. That you know what? If you're still watching this, that means you're a fan. So let me just ask you. I'm looking you right in the eye now, right? You out there, the fan watching this, I want you to tell me in the comments. Let me know the answer to this question. Would you be interested if I were to take a week and instead of like putting the work into producing the video that week, I just made a documentary of me working on a new comic book and then had a new comic book to sell? That behind the scenes process of making a comic book, is that something you'd be interested in seeing? Would you want to read a comic book that's by me based on my experiences making this YouTube channel? Let me know in the comments, because this is an idea that I have that I think you guys would really, really like, and I would do it like as a limited edition thing and let you, the fans, have first access to it, right, with limited edition print run and signed and numbered copies and all that kind of stuff. So let me know in the comments if you think that sounds like a hot idea, and I'll hit you with it, man. Alright. Some random guy 164 says, what is your favorite non-superhero comic? Well, I'll tell you, lately, at least in the last couple of years, I've been loving the work of Brandon Graham the most. He did a big, thick graphic novel called King City, and he's done some more recent stuff for Image, and I love it. His sensibilities are so much that, like, I don't know, I feel like, people who don't like superhero comics are going to hate for me to say this, but I kind of can't wait to see him make that transition to mainstream superhero comics, just to see what he does with the form, because I think he could do some really interesting things like we've never seen before if he were to choose to do superhero comics. So go look up Brandon Graham, everything he's been putting out, and King City, his big opus from Image Comics. That's the one. This is a great question. Ultimate Spiderpool says, there's always the same old debate over who's better physically, Batman or Spider-Man. The question, who is better morally? I'm talking about who's a better superhero for the people. That is a great question. It's really, really, really hard to answer it, because here's the case to be made, right? Is that with Batman, it's that he doesn't have powers. And it's that he uses what resources he has to step up to that challenge of, fighting crime and combating evil and stepping in with the Justice League. And then he goes on to prove that he can hold his own. You don't need powers to hold your own with Superman and Wonder Woman. Oh, can you hear the plane going by? My goodness. But then the case for Spider-Man is that he does have powers, and he can do anything he wants. And instead of using it for fame or celebrity or, for his own ends, You know, he could easily be a thief or a criminal and get away with it, but instead he uses his powers for good. Oh God, that's such a you know what? Here's the deciding factor. I think I'm gonna say Spider-Man because, man, I've been dirt poor before in my like early artist days. You know, I used to have to like go to stores, like pita places, like falafel joints, and I'd go like at the crack of dawn when they got their bread delivery, but the store wasn't open yet, and like steal a pack of pitas just to be able to like eat that day. Like, this is the kind of poverty I used to live in when I was like first an artist, right? So I know what it's like, those challenges of like you want to do right, but it's really hard to like focus on building yourself as a person when you're starving, right? So the fact that Spider-Man his biggest challenges are like just getting the rent paid and looking after Aunt May and stuff, and he's still able to be Spider-Man and still able to be the good guy, it's almost like you can make the case that powers aside, it's much easier to have that luxury to be who you really want to be and self-actualize when you got all of that money to rest on. So just based on that one little teetering, I don't know what, I'm going to give it to Spider-Man. Super cool Minecraft guy 7826 says, I have a question for you. If you were going to team up with any superhero villain, who would it be? Well, from a certain manner of speaking, you could say that I do team up with superheroes and villains every single time I make a video. I kind of get to be a real life grown up little kid in that way. But like in real life, I think it'd be fun to go on an adventure with Batman, because you get to ride in the car, you get to hopefully hang out in the Batcave, you get to go out on patrol, right, and all that kind of stuff. It'd be cool to hang out with Spider-Man, but getting around would be tough because he'd have to like pick you up and swing with you, and you'd probably hurt your back doing that. Interesting question from Warrior X16. If you had to choose between having Spider-Man's wall crawling powers or an organic web shooting power, which would you choose? That's not even hard for me. I would say the wall crawling. The web shooting will be cool, but I think the wall crawling will be more practical. Book Reviewer 99 says, what was your reaction and opinion on Fight Club, and what movie are you most excited about in 2015? Well, that is two questions, lady, but I'll answer them both. Fight Club came out in 1999, and I saw it 3 times in the theater. I was probably a pinch like too young to actually get in to see it, but it was awesome. Fight Club is one of those movies that you watch it and you come out of it and you feel like you're a different person now. Like that movie has opened up your brain, gone in and like reprogrammed your thinking, and you come out of it with like a whole new view of the world. And a lot of my sort of slightly, suspicious of authority and the fact that I'm the kind of guy who just cannot keep a regular job and has to do this art stuff, and a lot of that is owed to Fight Club because it influenced my thinking and the way I look at the world to such an extent. What movie are you most excited about in 2015? Bar none, it is Avengers Age of Ultron, just because Avengers was so great, and having everybody come back for that huge team up, I almost swore, but I am effing dying to see Avengers Age of Ultron. I'm looking so forward to it. Cayman Super Spider says, why do you like Batman and Spidey so much? Oh, love your videos. Spidey and Bats are my favorite superheroes too. Well, thank you for clarifying that instead of being all like, why do you like them so much? I love Batman and Spidey so much. I kind of touched on this in a previous question, because they're both guys who have overcome great obstacles. They're two guys that have overcome what, most people would say would be reasonable excuses to F off and be a jerk, and instead they've used that to influence their way of being and their choice to be a good person and to do better. So anybody that's making that choice in life, I applaud and celebrate it. Batman and Spider-Man and their reasons for becoming heroes is probably just as much an influence on my worldview and mode of thinking as Fight Club from the last question. So that's why I love Batman and Spider-Man so much. I don't think there's any superheroes that I love anywhere near as much as those two. When I was a little kid, I loved Superman, but that was just, the power fantasy and all that kind of stuff. When you add the textured adult layers to it, Batman and Spider-Man, that's why I love them, because they're guys who had every excuse in the world to be a couple of jerks, and instead used what could have been excuses, used those as the reason to not. From Facebook, Rushdie Nusebai, I hope I pronounced that right, says, what's your favorite city you visited? Well, what's going to be between New York and Los Angeles, right? As a guy who's working in entertainment, as a guy who likes culture, a guy who likes big urban environments, a guy who likes human progress and achievement, those are kind of like the two. But if I gotta pick, I'd probably, it's so tough. Because it's like, I guess if you flip, I guess I gotta give it to Los Angeles because, well, the weather's great, right? They don't have winter, and that gives it a huge advantage right there. But there's also something to be said for the fact that anybody who tells you that they don't like Los Angeles because it's all plastic and everybody's trying to be a star and blah, 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 that is somebody who has no imagination at all. That's somebody who does not have a creative bone in their body. Because what they're talking about is like 3 streets that, of course, are the main places that tourists would want to go. Hollywood, Disney World, right? This kind of thing. So Disneyland, whatever. But, like, there's so much more to it in terms of independent culture, in terms of the splendor of nature, in terms of, like, just the beauty of going to the beach, the beauty of walking up through the hills, right? All that kind of stuff. It's just, there's and also because it's so big and so spread out, it's so many little cities all near and clumped together. So, yeah, there's so much more to it, I think. New York is like the prototype of the big city for me. I mean, I've never been to Paris or London or Tokyo, right? So to my experience, New York is like the prototypical big city. But in terms of like the variety of viewpoints and variety of landscapes and variety of just options for who you want to be, I think Los Angeles might be the one. But I'm almost mad at you for making me pick. And finally, last but certainly not least, we got Jen Macia Bolton says, why are Superman and Cyclops allergic to being cool? Well, not everybody gets to be cool, because if everybody was cool, then nobody's cool, because what do you measure cool against? And somebody's got to take the lumps, you know what I mean? I think Superman wears that costume and continues to wear that costume, and a part of him knows it's not a cool costume. Part of him knows that it's not, quote-unquote, a good look. But he knows that somebody's got to rock it with that kind of flair and that kind of confidence so that other people can look at that and know, here's a guy who's going to push that hard. Now, as far as Cyclops, you got to admit, he's gotten a lot cooler since the events of Avengers vs. X-Men and the new costume and the new attitude. Pretty badass. So that's all the questions. It was really long, but I wanted to get as many people in as I could. If you got a question for the next Ask Sean, put it in the comments below, and we'll do this again real soon. So follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Read my blog and stick around because April 10th we're doing our live, interactive Daredevil special. So thanks so much for watching, and next week, back at home, we'll have more awesome hit videos for you. Wait till you see what I recorded while I was down here with Make 'em Laugh Films. See you then.